You're so well lit, Anuj.
Oh, thank you. How are you? It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. This conversation was long pending, and I'm glad it's happening now.
Absolutely. Well, look, I think before we go in, a quick intro, and now just to give you a summary of what Bhumi Pednekar is, right? So almost what 9 years ago, it was Toiletic Prem Katha's press conference here in the UK, in London. We were on the floor, sat down, and I got up and I twisted my ankle really badly, and I had my graduation like 2 days after. I remember it was time to interview Bhumi, and she saw me limping. And the first thing she did is she took my hand and she said, "Are you okay? Do you need anything before we even do the interview?" And that, my friends, is exactly what BP is all about. So I'm so happy to be joined by you, Bhumi, once again. So thank you so much for joining me, and congratulations on Daldal.
Anuj, thank you so much. I very, very clearly remember that day. I really well remember our various conversations that we've had over the years. And thank you so much for just supporting me. I really deeply appreciate it and giving. I've read every word of your review. You have to believe that. Every word of it. It was one of the first reviews that came out. And thank you so much. Thank you.
No, but you deserve every ounce of appreciation, Bhumi, because I feel like Rita was probably the hardest character that you've done, right? And I think,
Hands down.
there's so many like different layers, right, to her. I mean, there's that whole imposter syndrome. There is that whole idea of her fighting her past, trying to sort of make peace with the inner child that was abandoned. There's so many different layers. Bhumi, I mean, for you as an actor, when you are sort of responsible for such a character, uh, how does one necessarily compartmentalize these different strands, and how do you get your head around that, actually?
In Rita's case, I was going for a very primal experience that she had growing up. So for me, that was the root cause of why she is this person. And I kind of stayed very honest to that emotion. Look, Daldal is a great landscape of what happens to young minds when they come from broken, fractured systems. When they have broken minds and souls because of what we have done to them as a society, right? I kind of just held on to that thought. Everything that she went through, her trauma as a child, her abandonment as a child, the guilt that she lives with. Why did she choose this righteous path? Why did she not become Anant? She could have easily, she has every trait within her. There was some voice of good. There was something that prevailed that got her to choose a path that didn't end like the one, that Anant was on. And I think that
Right.
it's just that little degree of difference between the antagonist and the hero. And Daldal very beautifully does a very deep psychoanalysis of human behavior. So for me, honestly, everything Anuj was in the writing. I just
Right.
had to peel one layer after the other. And we were so well supported through this experience because there was a psychologist that we spoke to extensively, a criminal psychologist that sat with the director, the writers, with me. She gave us a very in depth understanding of how a criminal mind functions, especially somebody that has come from sexual violence, abuse, and trauma as a child.
Mm. Absolutely. And it was very, very tough to watch. And like I said to you, I think that the only downside to it was the fact that there was no catharsis, which is good
Yeah,
because that means the title literally lived up to what it
yeah,
actually means a rut
yeah,
of some sorts. But I think what I really wanted to delve into, because I know you've done a few interviews where you've spoken a lot about, playing Rita and all of that. But I think for me, it's the technical aspects which really stood out to me.
yeah,
Like I spoke to you as well earlier. I did mention that I love the icy sort of feel, that almost Jalsa-esque world that Suresh
yeah,
Triveni created. And I think it's also
yeah.
an Abundantia sort of trait as well, I
Yeah.
think, in all of their
Like with
content.
Breathe and also
That,
like with Sherni, like and Jalsa, of course. I think
yeah.
Abundantia has really pioneered the genre of true crime or, a psychological crime drama. I mean, they pretty much started this in India, like with the streaming platforms. They were one of the first to.
For sure. No, absolutely. And also the fact that Amrit has like sort of done Bachelors, he's done Good Luck before, and these are like sort of almost like middle class, working middle class stories of India, of ambition and the youth
Yes.
centric sort of story. But yet here he goes completely dark, I think, into,
Yes.
that script almost. So I think for you, when you have these two minds coming together, and then also the color palette, the camera work, because see, ultimately the cinematography and the slow-mo is, I presume, is mostly post-production stuff, right? That's something that we see as a final product. But when you're on set and you're under that guidance or the technical aspects, what impact does that have on you as an artist?
That's such a great question, Anuj, because I think we don't often get an opportunity to celebrate the technicians that are a part of this journey.
Right.
For a character like Rita, where you don't really have an opportunity to speak much, you aren't very verbose, there's so much restraint. A lot of what she's feeling is done by the camera and by the mood that is set in the show. There is this very dark, romantic quality in which Bombay is shown. Even
Right.
the dirt is romanticized. Even the darkness, the filth is romanticized. The politics within the various police departments are romanticized. And I remember there was this one specific day when he was shooting. It was very early on in our shoot, when I was told, okay, so now you're done with the day, but we have to wait for 3 hours because Rakesh sir, who's our DOP, wants a specific shot at the break of dawn because that's when the light will be perfect. And the director and Suresh sir feel that that's going to do a lot of justice to what Rita is thinking. And it blew my brain because I
Oh,
had
wow.
missed working in environments like so where they cared about the smallest detail and the smallest nuance. Because nowadays you're just on sets and they're like, chalo, 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 budget, time ja raha hai. 3 ghante you can. And the love and the patience with which everything was done, especially like the camera work and also the production design, the editing of the
Mm,
show to me is genius. To be able to keep everything in a duration of 30 minutes,
mm,
especially when it's a human psychological drama, I think that's something that worked for the show a lot because it's
yeah.
so quick. That makes it bingeable because it's such a heavy show. Had the duration been longer, it would have exhausted people. They wouldn't have been able to binge it.
Definitely. No, I'm glad you mentioned this actually, because I have noticed that there is this whole notion of justice systems and law and criminal sort of like stories really emerging. I mean, we had that last year as well, which I even wrote an article about that as well. And I think even now, like obviously you had Rani Ma'am as
Yes.
Mardani, who was incredible. You have kind of played a cop as well, and we're seeing a lot of women sort of like fight back crime. And I
Yes.
think that's a very interesting sort of trait that I'm seeing. And I know this whole idea of you know without obviously making it too gender driven, but obviously the fact that obviously it is happening, I would love to just maybe jog your brains a little bit about this movie. What do you think it is, that's kind of,
You know,
yeah.
I think it's okay to make it gender driven because the
Right.
truth of the matter is that somewhere we need to have that conversation to normalize it.
Correct. Yeah, true.
Right? Because the thing is, in many professions, you don't really see what gender that individual belongs to. But in a world of somebody wearing a uniform or a cop, it's always a female cop and a male cop. And a lot of times, even Rita's character is made to feel so. Right?
Right. Yeah.
But I feel that there is this shift in women taking on power because it's high time we do.
Oh
Look
yeah,
at what's
absolutely.
happening around us. Gender based violence has gone off the roof. The statistics are scary, right? And I think it is our way of kind of reclaiming our power, motivating people, and also kudos to all the men that are supporting this narrative because they want to see the same change we want to see. Every time you're supporting a female led narrative, and I know, including me, I don't like making that distinction, but the truth of the matter is, we, the gap is very, very wide. Kudos to any individual, irrespective of what gender you identify with, that you are supporting narratives like so. And I really hope we get to see a lot more. I love the fact that in Daldal or in Mardani, we are beating up what's wrong.
It is the most satisfying experience ever. But no, look, I think Bhumi, I think last year you celebrated a decade in Indian
Yes.
cinema. And I think what I've always mentioned to you as well is that, you've always been someone who has been this beautiful bridge between, doing films that have a very strong social undercurrent, but at the same time, they have a very mainstream commercial appeal, where in a way, it kind of like makes it easier, for us to kind of like feel comfortable, as you, even though you're navigating a subject which is supposed to discomfort you. I don't know if that makes sense. Like that's
Mhm.
the sort of like balance that you've managed to create.
Thank
Um,
you.
I think when you began, I'm sure you probably had a sort of idea that, you would just want to do acting, you want to do good work, but the sort of social sort of undercurrents to your work, has that come as a byproduct of the journey that you've had so far, or is it something that has been ingrained with you as a person? Because I personally think it's the latter, but I would love to know from you.
No, it is the latter because I have always been this person. I have, I'm born in a family that has always taught me to give back, that has always made me realize that I have privilege because I am born in a household that has given me access to education, safety very easily, which is not everyone's reality. I have seen my parents service society to the best of their ability. And because I've grown up in an environment like so, I think a lot of that is reflected in the work that I choose as well.
Hmm.
So for me, Dam Laga Ke Haisha was not something I chose. It was given to me. It was God's gift to me. It was my father's gift to me. That's what I believe it was, you
Hmm.
know. But after that, be it a toiletic prem katha, Son Chiriya, Sand Kiyak, Daldal, Bhakshak, Badhai Do, whatever. If I'm whatever films I've done, I think I've always had an inclination towards work like so because it's authentic to me. And I feel my journey off screen kind of marries with my choices on screen. And look, my art has activism, my art has advocacy, and I don't think that will ever change. I have a lot of soft power. I have a little community of crores of people that listen to what we say. And it'll be a complete disservice to the pedestal that the audience puts us in if we don't use that platform for some sort of positive change. One conversation, one mind is all it takes and all it needs. It's my contribution, it is my way of giving back to the abundance that I have received because I'm an actor.
And you know what? This is beautiful, and I can vouch for this because I remember it was peak pandemic time, and I remember when I used to be on Twitter, I used to see Bhumi often, literally her whole timeline was literally flooded with, sending like sort of, I think it was like machines and stuff like that
Yeah.
to people who were needed it because they were having, trouble breathing during COVID time. And I remember reaching out to you then, Bhumi, and that for me sealed the deal. I mean, I kind of knew that you were compassionate and empathetic anyway because I knew you before then, but that's when I was like, you know what? This girl is not just an actor. She's a humanist. And I think, the moment you take out the humanist aspect in acting, it falters, right? You've
Yeah.
got to have that compassion and empathy. Even like Rita, for example, because she's a great character. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
a great character. She's not
She's
just
very great.
she's as great as it comes, right? So even with her as well, I mean, there must have been obviously many, many degrees of empathy and compassion, I'm sure, that you had to bring into her character as well, isn't it?
100% because she's so complicated as a person. You can't penetrate Rita. And that's her defense mechanism. She has completely shut herself because she feels like she doesn't deserve love. She doesn't deserve kindness, any nurturing energy into her life. And most of it is driven by guilt because she constantly feels like the moment somebody has a place in her heart, she loses them because of her abandonment issues.
Of course.
And within that storm of a life that she had, she made certain decisions that got her to where she is. The fact that she is a DCP, she's a woman in uniform, a successful one that is just surviving in a man's world. And that can only happen when you have the humanist, empathetic quality to you as a character and as a person, because people often think that being vulnerable is a weakness, is actually a superpower.
Exactly.
And it is her superpower in this man's world. She might not seem like she's vulnerable, but she is. And she has her tender moments when she's speaking to Matre or Matre's son, or the fact that she sees that there is a broken, exploited child in Anant and in Sajid's characters, because she's had that. Who is Rita? By the end of it, she's a little child that never got justice.
Yeah.
And I feel that's why for me, shows like Daldal or a film like Bhakshak, and I just realized that there are like common themes, and maybe this is something I feel very, very passionately about, because I do feel, and I keep speaking about it as well, that we are failing our children as a society.
I
Look what's
agree.
happening around us.
Oh
How
my
are we
God.
okay with this? How are we okay with the fact that there are little children that their lives are being sacrificed, or there are little girls and boys that are being sexually violated, and we've normalized it.
Hmm.
So I just hope that I keep getting more work like so. And this is an area of passion for me. I have been associated with a school in Madhya Pradesh since Son Chidiya. And I think I didn't even realize when certain life decisions of mine started reflecting in the films that I do. And your question actually made me reflect on that as well. So thank you.
Oh no. Do you know what? Honestly, Bhumi, I mean, I think you know how much I adore you. I don't think it's a
Hi.
secret anymore. But honestly, genuinely, I think we have run out of time, unfortunately. But I just, honestly, I think that compassion that you have as an artist, and I think it's so rare for for artists of today's day and age, and it's not been easy, And whenever we catch up again, we will delve into the challenges as well that you've dealt with as well
Yeah.
throughout your journey. But I think you've really honestly with Daldal, you've really I think it's definitely not just upped the game, but I think it's flipped the script socially as well. I think it definitely makes people look at how we view society and also loss of innocence because people often think of people like Anand. They would kind of look at them and as a newspaper and the
Yeah.
mugshot, be like, oh God, who are these
Yeah.
people? But actually makes you understand that no one's born evil, right? Not
Yeah.
everyone is born evil, and I think that's what it is. But on that note, thank you so much, Bhumi. It's been
Thank
such
you,
a
Anuj.
pleasure to have you, and hopefully I'll catch you up very, very soon. But
Absolutely.
how?
And I hope it's in person the next time we talk.
Yes, and hopefully this time I won't have a twisted ankle when that happens. Though I think we changed that with Raksha Bandhan, so that was good.
We did.
No, but lovely. But well done,
Thank
Bhumi.
you
So
so
proud of
much.
you. Well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.